Before you start identifying your needs within this category of the stability wheel, you're going to want to check out this introductory video so that you have a general understanding of what we're doing here. For additional support completing the stability wheel, I'm not going to be responding to the comments in these YouTube videos, but you can book a one-on-one session with me on my website. There's a link in the description, or you could check out the Love and Liberation Network. We are an online community of people developing secure attachment while learning how to remove hierarchies from our relationships. Every month we focus on one category of the stability wheel. It gives us just enough time to be able to identify our needs and figure out the structures that we need to implement our needs into our life so our life feels integrated and easeful. We celebrate each other, we help each other brainstorm ideas. If you're looking for that kind of support, there's also a link in the description. What are your creative needs? This category of needs is very important. I mean, all of them are important because they're all interdependent. They cannot be separate from one another. They all impact one another. But the thing about creative needs is that it's inherently tied to spiritual needs. Creativity is an expression of curiosity and play, which means there's this big openness to it. There's this expansive energy to it. It cannot be boxed in. It cannot be stagnant. You don't know where the next thing is going to lead you. And this is super duper important for spiritual health because human beings need to express themselves creatively. And it can be very challenging because within the heteropatriarchal capitalist system that we're living in, these systems like to put things into boxes. They like to commodify relationships. They like to commodify everything. And they put things into black or white thinking. And so it really discourages us from using our imagination, from being able to express ourselves openly and to not be attached to the outcome, to not have to monetize our creativity. Like, it's fine if you do monetize your creativity, but it's equally as important to express yourself creatively just for the sake of self-expression. For myself personally, it was really challenging for me to learn how to express my creativity because this is so sad to think about, but when I was a kid, my dad had this fixed way of thinking, like black or white thinking, like you're either an artist or you're not. And so from a very young age, I internalized the belief that like I am not capable of creating art or being creative in general. I always thought I was like this, I went to school for economics and I was like a data analyst out of college and stuff. And so I always thought I was like this logistical, analytical being. But it turns out like I am so creative. I love writing poetry, and like I write a lot of poems and not all of them are like, wow, like works of art, but it's just for the sake of doing the thing. It's like I'm saying, it's so good for the spiritual health to be able to lean into that unfolding of like, I don't know where this next thing is going to take me. And quite frankly, I don't really care. Like, it's really just about the experience, not about the outcome. So if you're one of those people who is like, wow, I didn't know that I even had a creative side or that I had permission to be creative without monetizing or without, being a professional artist and like making money from it or something, just because you're making art and you're not getting paid for it doesn't mean you're not an artist. Like if you're writing and you're not getting paid for it, you're still a writer, because what is a writer? It's somebody who writes. It's not somebody who gets paid to write. That's a capitalist way of thinking, which is very common. So like, no shame if that's happening for you. I just want to zoom out a little bit and make it more expansive, because a lot of us feel like we don't have the permission to identify with creativity. But like, the truth is, human beings are inherently creative beings. It's just been socially conditioned out of us because these systems of oppression have us associating scarcity with safety, which is not really true, but within this current context, like, there is a real element to that. So when identifying creative needs, and let's say you're someone who's like, I don't know where to start, I've never like leaned into this side of myself, I would love to invite you to create a container for yourself. You don't have to even be attached to the activity you do. Just make some time in your calendar, like maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours. I don't know what your life is like, and if 1 hour feels like nothing to you, if it feels like a lot to you, but the idea is to create spaciousness for yourself. You don't want that sense of urgency, that internalized capitalism, where your internal engine is just like revved up, like that's not the creative energy. That's not a creative state of being. So when leaning into creativity, it is all about curiosity and play. So like when you're playing, you're not worried about how you sound or like what it looks like. You're just being silly and you're just like really enjoying yourself. So that's the idea with creativity. So put a slot in your calendar, whatever feels spacious to you, something that can allow some sort of creative energy to emerge, and like don't get too attached to the outcome, seriously. Especially the first time, like really you're just getting in the habit of tapping into this expansive energy that is nurturing your spirit. And if you don't know where to start, like just create that container and see where it takes you. Maybe you start singing a song, maybe you start writing, or maybe you're exploring poetry. My dog's in the background. Maybe your creativity looks like you just want to color in a coloring book. Like you can, like, it doesn't have to look any particular way. The point is that energetic state of being. It's that mindset of like you're not attached to the outcome and you're allowing yourself to lean into the unfolding, not knowing where each next moment is going to take you, but letting it carry you there. This is sort of a tantric concept. Well, there's a lot to be said on tantra. It's not inherently sexual. That's just like a Western thing. It is just a spiritual thing. But yeah, that's for a different video and a different time. If you do have a creative outlet, let's say you like to sing or play guitar, or maybe you just enjoy learning, like a new instrument or something. Or, I mean, I would consider even learning a new language as a creative outlet. Like, because you're going to make so many mistakes. That's just how it is. That's how babies start when they're learning languages too. That's the only way to learn, is through experience, through trial and error. So it's definitely very creative to learn a new language. But let's say you have a creative practice that works for you. I would highly encourage you to like just write these things down. What are these things that feel like anchors to you? Because the whole point of the stability wheel is to have some sort of feedback loop with yourself. It's to help ground you into your own awareness of like, how far away from balance am I? And if you feel really balanced when you're singing music, or, whatever that thing is that anchors you, it's important just to identify what that thing is, so that you can periodically check in with your stability wheel and be like, whoa, it's been like a whole month since I haven't written any poetry. Like, what does that say about where I'm at? Like in my nervous system, am I stressed out? Like, am I rushing so much that I can't slow down enough to feel that expansive container to let the unfolding carry me in my spirit into this realm of creativity? It's really good feedback. And all to say, like, there might be some things that I'm not naming. I don't know all the creative outlets. It seriously is endless. The possibilities are endless. So it doesn't have to be some conventional, commodified category of creativity. It doesn't have to be art or music or whatever. It could even just be like literally whatever brings you joy. Like even just being silly with yourself, like I love being silly with myself. You ever like make yourself laugh and you're like, wow, this is some good company I'm in. Just like, just like create some freaking spaciousness in your life, and it will really go a long way for your spirit. But with all of the categories of the stability wheel, you want to find that balance between structure and flexibility. So like I'm saying, the whole point of it is to identify red flags and green flags. A red flag being like, oh, I haven't done this in a long time and I know this thing grounds me. So like maybe I can prioritize this in my calendar now just so I feel more in balance. So the practice here is to identify like what would be a red flag for me. If I'm not singing daily, is that a red flag? And this is going to be different for everyone depending on where you're at. Maybe singing daily is not your thing. Maybe it's a routine for you. And so if you're not singing one day, that could be a sign of depression, of like spiritual imbalance, But for other people, maybe it's like, well, for myself, I have written on my stability wheel to write poetry at least once a month, because I have a Pisces moon, okay? And I'm a very emotional being. And poetry just like really helps me express myself. And it literally is like this wave that I ride. Like there's moments where I can't deny the moment, but like just there's like a wave of inspiration that just like floods my body, and I'm like, whoa, I need to pause everything I'm doing and get out some paper and like just like write all these words down, and it just like flows out of me. And then there's times where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write some poetry today, and then I'm like, oh, it's really not coming out of me. So if I go a whole month without writing any poetry at all, that is a red flag for me. But that's because I know myself, you know? So, like, you know yourself better than anyone else. And if you don't know yourself, well, shit. This is part of developing secure attachment. So, this is the exercise to help you get to know yourself more. So I really just want to encourage people to like explore, like maybe you know your creative anchors, and I would also encourage you to like write in your stability wheel just this kind of like general slot of like explore some unknown creative outlet or some new creative outlet too, just to keep it balanced, you know. Or like if you feel really grounded in all of your creative practices, you don't need to do that, but like I'm saying, within these systems of oppression, it can be really hard to tap into that creative energy because it's conditioned out of us. So I'm imagining a lot of folks would actually benefit from that. But like I said, like you know best. So I'm just offering options, you know, like take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. So some things to look at are like, what do you need on a daily basis to feel like you're spiritually well? And like, I know this is the creative category, but I think it all comes down to spiritual health, really. Like creativity is an expression of spirit being free. That's really what it is. When you're not in that fear response, that trauma response, where you're like all tensed up in the body to where you can't experience that expansiveness in your energy to where something can come out of you creatively. For myself, I also play guitar, and so for like a few years, like for 2 years actually, like literally every day in a row. I think there was like 3 days out of 2 years that I missed playing the guitar every day, but it was anchoring me. And so if I wasn't playing the guitar one day, that was definitely a red flag of like, whoa, I'm out of balance somewhere. Um, but some frequencies to look at are like, what are things that you need daily to feel like you're in balance? What are some things that you need weekly to feel like you're in balance? Maybe just like even journaling once a week. I mean, I recommend journaling at least once a week just in general because I mean, at least for myself, it goes a really long way. And when I go through periods of not journaling, like if I go a whole month without journaling, ooh, that is a red flag that I am actually out of relationship with myself. And you know, journaling could look like pen and paper, it could be on the computer, but I also like to record videos of myself, or even sometimes just, why am I doing this? Even sometimes I like to just record voice notes for myself too, kind of like as little reminders or anchors for me, for my future selves. Like if I'm having a really good day, or if I'm feeling really in balance, like I'm following through with my morning routine and I'm just, ooh, a fly. If I'm really in flow, then I might just leave a little like message from present self to future self to anchor me in the future when I know that I might not always be in balance. Um, Another thing that I like to do, this is just me, okay? Like I'm giving you examples to offer you like kind of brainstorming like some ideas of like what might resonate for you. Oh, a big creative outlet for me, is improvising songs. I guess it's like freestyling. I do that often, and I do it for fun. I'll do it without background music. Sometimes I'll go onto Spotify and just listen to. I have a whole playlist called background music, and it's just music without any lyrics. And so I'll just like add my own lyrics in there, and I'll freestyle. And the best part about this as a creative practice is that sometimes I document it, but very rarely. Most of the time, I just do it just to do it. Or like I'll be in the shower even, and I'll just be like freestyling a song. And it could be a journal about my day. It could rhyme, it could not. It doesn't really matter. It's just about finding that flow and letting it come out. It could be a spell that I'm singing, like something that I'm inviting into my life, like an energetic kind of like fishing rod that I'm casting out and then like pulling into me. That's what I consider a spell. It's just like, you know, your words carry energy, and so what spells do you want to put out there? And um, yeah, so the universe can resonate with that. Like, what do you want to attract into your life? Yeah, there's moments where I find a deep flow and I'm just like, wow, I just created the most beautiful song. Like, why didn't I write it down? But then I'm reminding myself, I'm like, no, I'm not doing this for anyone else. Like, even not my future self. Like, this is just for my present self. Like, that's the thing about that creative energy. It's about being in the present moment. So sometimes you can document it. And believe me, there are songs I sing every day to myself because they are spells that anchor me. Like, for example, if I notice when I'm rushing and I'm not present in my body, there's a song I sing in those moments to remind myself to slow down. It's just like, yeah, one of those things. It's a tool that can really help me. So it's kind of a mix of practicality and creativity. But what I really want to encourage you, for the sake of this exercise of the stability wheel, is to find a balance between what are those practical creative outlets. Like maybe you do monetize your creativity, and so you can add that into your stability wheel too. But what I often find is when you monetize the creativity, well, this is me, okay? This is me. Like, I've definitely tried to monetize my creativity, and I do monetize my creativity. So sometimes it adds a lot of pressure, and that feeling of pressure takes away from that expansive energy that is required for the creativity. And so then it really does become more work and less of a creative outlet. Like, maybe it's 20% creativity and 80% work, you know? It's not so black or white. It's very multidimensional. So I encourage a balance in your stability wheel of like, yeah, maybe there are some practical ways that you can be creative and it's really helpful and you benefit from that too. I don't want to discourage that. I just also want to encourage doing something creative just for the sake of it. Like, actually, the reason I even learned how to play guitar in 2020, the pandemic, remember that? Good times. Um, Not that it's over or anything, but like just the crux of it when it all started, I was realizing that I was out of balance with like my creative energy, that I was just only doing things to be productive, and I was feeling that tenseness in my body. And so I told myself, okay, I need to learn something just for the sake of learning something, like not for anybody else, not to monetize, not to feel some sort of outcome, but just for the joy of like exploring my abilities, exploring parts of myself that I've never explored before. And long and behold, for me, it turned into something really grounding and anchoring for me. Yeah, that has continued to develop. So that was such a blessing in my life. And I can tell you that the songs I sing to myself on guitar, particularly, and in general, they are a big part of this sense of security I feel in myself, you know, that secure attachment. Like, for example, there's a song I sing to my inner child um, that I wrote actually when I was feeling really dysregulated. And I was like, okay, what does little me need to hear right now? And literally, anytime I feel dysregulated, or if I feel fear or anxious, or if there's uncertainty in the future, which there always is, like I'll just pull out the guitar and I'll sing this song to my inner child, and just feeling the vibrations of the guitar. I'm so excited. I'm tripping over my words. um, oh my gosh, it just carries me. Like I feel like my energy expanding out into the environment, and it feels therapeutic, and I feel like it releases my anxiety and my fears and just all those crunchy feelings that have me tense in my body, just loosens me up. So I share all this just to give you an idea of like what are some of the benefits of exploring your creative side. The whole point is that you don't know where it's going to take you. So it's that sense of being alive, you know? Like, life is truly unpredictable. Maybe there are some routines that you're in, or maybe you have some stable things in your life, like your job, you go to work every day, whatever. But truly, like, the sense of control or the sense of predictability is an illusion, and it can, I mean, grasping to that illusion can help you feel safe, but it's just a perception of safety, you know? And so if you're grasping to this perception of safety, this illusion of control, when inevitably the unpredictable happens in your life, like the pandemic, for example, who could have predicted that? Come on. You know, it's gonna super duper dysregulate you way more than if you were just accepting that, like, okay, one of the laws of the universe is impermanence, like God is change, to quote Octavia Butler. And so to have a creative outlet and a creative practice, not just like a one-time thing, you know, but an actual practice. Like, what am I doing daily? What am I doing weekly? What am I doing monthly? What can I not live without? Ooh, it really helps develop secure attachment, because you're leaning into those principles of impermanence, and you're not living in that illusion of like, I have control over my life, or I can predict the future because I'm grasping for control. I'm telling you, this is deeply impactful. It really goes a long way. So I think I'll leave it there, because we've talked about a lot of things. So, ooh, these flies. Oh my gosh. I love being outside, but then there's little things like the flies. But anyways, ooh, the fly. Hold on, hold on. Anyways, I hope this video has been helpful. I hope, yeah, I hope this brings some sort of clarity as far as like not trapping yourself too hard into a box. Like maybe you have a category of like, I will do one creative thing every week. Like that's a really good mix between like structure and fluidity. So if anything is unclear or if you're still needing help with this, if you're in the Love and Liberation Network, just leave a comment and I will respond to you and I can provide you some help. I'm not providing help on YouTube just because, like, I have so many outlets that I connect with people and my energy is finite. So I'm prioritizing where there's more reciprocity in the relationship, where people are um, thanking me for my energy through giving me money. And the Love and Liberation Network, it's sliding scale, so hopefully it's accessible for folks. And if it's not, if you're interested, send me an email and like we can work that out too. Or if you want to explore this further, I do one-on-one attachment coaching with folks. I help folks develop secure attachment, particularly within the context of non-monogamy and transitioning into non-monogamy. But if I have available slots in my calendar and you just want some help, like identifying your creative needs, maybe you're feeling stuck, book a session with me on my website. There's a link down below in the description, and that's something I can help you with too. Thanks for watching this all the way through. I know these are kind of long videos, but I think it says a lot if you watch all the way through because it really shows your commitment to loving yourself, to developing secure attachment, which is ultimately just having a sense of balance in your life. And yeah, I'm just delighted to be connected with folks who are deeply committed to this work. So thank you.